Welcome to the pink side. My sister's best friend thinks I'm a girl, so she set me up. I never thought a simple visit to my sister's house could change my life, or at least, the way I thought about myself. My name is Alex, and for as long as I can remember, I've had this secret side to me. I loved experimenting with clothes, makeup, and a different kind of self-expression that I never dared to show anyone. It wasn't about rebelling or being flashy. It was a private thrill, a secret I indulged in my room when no one was watching. I told myself it was temporary, just a fun way to escape reality, a secret playground where I could be whoever I wanted to be. I worked at a small graphic design firm downtown. My job was predictable, tight deadlines, endless emails, and a boss who somehow managed to make micromanagement feel like an art form. On the surface, I was the typical office guy, neat, punctual, and quietly competent. But beneath that, there was a side of me that craved something more, something playful, something daring. The thrill of slipping into high heels, the soft brush of makeup on my skin, the way a dress could make me feel both vulnerable and powerful, it was intoxicating. I had mastered the art of balancing two lives, keeping my passion hidden and my secret safe. Then came Sarah, my sister's best friend. She was everything I wasn't, or perhaps everything I secretly wanted to be, bold, confident, and completely unafraid of herself. Sarah had this way of smiling that made people melt, and this mischievous glint in her eyes that promised chaos and excitement. I had met her a handful of times before, always in casual settings, always under the guise of being my normal self. She didn't know my secret, and I had no intention of telling her, until one fateful Saturday. My sister, Mia, had a last-minute errand and asked me to stay at the house for a few hours. "Sarah will be over," she said casually, "so just hang out, okay?" Easy enough, I thought. I could handle casual conversations and small talk. But the moment Sarah arrived, my world shifted. She bounded into the living room with a grin that could light up the darkest room, and before I knew it, she was teasing me, joking about my quiet demeanor, my boring guy persona. I laughed it off, but her sharp eyes seemed to probe deeper, almost as if she could sense the hidden layers of me that no one else could. It started innocently enough. Sarah found my sister's old costume box tucked away in the closet, full of dresses, wigs, and makeup. She raised an eyebrow, grinning. "What's all this?" she asked, teasing. My stomach sank, panic prickling my skin. This was my secret world, my private indulgence. I fumbled for an answer, but before I could, Sarah's grin widened. "Don't tell me you've tried any of this?" My mind raced. Should I lie? Pretend it's a joke? But something about the way she looked at me, the curiosity, the excitement, the playful challenge, made it impossible to lie convincingly. Maybe once or twice," I admitted cautiously, my cheeks burning. Her eyes sparkled. "Once or twice. That's it?" "Oh no. Alex, you need a proper introduction to the fun side of life," she said with a teasing lilt in her voice. The way she spoke, the way she moved, made my heart pound in ways I hadn't felt in a long time. I knew then that I was about to be pulled into something far bigger than just a casual experiment. Sarah's approach was playful, but deliberate. "Here's the deal," she said, holding up a silky, elegant dress from the box. "Try this on. Just for fun. I'll even help." My pulse spiked. My mind screamed at me to refuse, to escape, to retreat back into my normal self. But a part of me, a daring, secret part, thrilled at the idea. The possibility of stepping fully into this world, under her watchful, mischievous eye, was irresistible. I hesitated, glancing around the living room. It was cozy, familiar, and yet suddenly charged with possibility. The afternoon light spilled through the windows, casting soft shadows on the furniture, making everything feel both intimate and precarious. Sarah waited, patient yet expectant, her eyes locked on me like a challenge. "Come on," she coaxed. "It'll be fun. You might even like it more than you think." That was all it took. My hands trembled slightly as I took the dress from her, feeling the silky fabric between my fingers. My mind raced with conflicting emotions, excitement, fear, anticipation, and a dangerous thrill. The persona I had kept hidden for years, the confident, elegant, daring side of me, was ready to step forward. And with Sarah's encouragement, it was about to come alive. Little did I know, this innocent experiment would set off a chain of events I couldn't have anticipated. Once I slipped into the dress, once I felt the brush of makeup and the heels beneath my feet, the world shifted. Sarah's playful grin turned into a knowing smirk, as if she had orchestrated this entire moment, setting me up in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. My secret life, my daring, forbidden indulgence, was now tangled with hers, and there was no turning back. The stage was set. My transformation had begun, and the suspense of what would come next thrummed through me like electricity. After reluctantly taking the silky dress from Sarah, my fingers trembled. The fabric was soft, delicate, and smelled faintly of my sister's perfume, something floral, sweet, and oddly intoxicating. My heart pounded in my chest, a mix of fear, shame, and a thrilling anticipation I hadn't felt in years. I glanced at Sarah. She was leaning against the couch, arms crossed, grinning like a cat who knew a secret no one else did. "Go on," she encouraged, tilting her head. "Try it on. I promise it's fun and I'll help." I hesitated, thoughts racing. What if I messed up? What if Mia came home early? Worse, what if I completely embarrassed myself in front of Sarah? But the thrill, the dangerous excitement of stepping fully into this secret world, pulled me forward. I slipped into the bedroom, my hands shaking as I untangled the dress from its hanger. As I began to change, I felt every fiber of nervousness and excitement mingle. The first brush of makeup against my skin sent shivers down my spine. Sarah had left some basics in the room, a small compact, lipstick, eyeliner. My fingers fumbled at first, but then, slowly, the process became almost meditative. I traced lines carefully, accentuated my eyes, smoothed my foundation. Each stroke was both foreign and familiar, a sensory awakening. I slipped into the dress, feeling it hug my body in ways that were at once thrilling and disorienting. The skirt swirled around my legs, the fabric soft against my thighs, and my reflection in the mirror nearly took my breath away. I wasn't Alex in this moment. I was someone else, someone daring, elegant, and exposed. Vulnerable, yet powerful. I paused, taking it all in. The heels Sarah had laid out seemed impossibly high. My first step into them was wobbly, each movement a test of balance and poise. My reflection stared back at me, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. This was the side of me I had never shown anyone, not even my sister. And now, under Sarah's watchful eye, it felt alive, real, and frighteningly permanent. I heard her voice from outside the door. "You look amazing. Don't be shy, show me." I stepped out hesitantly. Sarah's grin widened. "Wow. I didn't think it would suit you this well. You're beautiful." The word hit me harder than I expected. Beautiful. Not awkward, not funny, not weird, beautiful. A strange heat crept into my cheeks, both from the makeup and from the exhilaration of being seen this way. My pulse raced, and I realized how intoxicating it was to have someone acknowledge this hidden part of me. But with the thrill came fear. My mind screamed at me, what if Mia comes home? What if someone else sees me like this? What if I cross a line I can't undo? I felt a flush of shame, an almost physical pull to retreat back into my ordinary self. But another part of me, a braver, secret part, wanted to stay, to explore, to revel in the danger and excitement. Sarah sensed my hesitation. She stepped closer, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face. "Relax," she whispered. "This is just the beginning. You can take as long as you want to explore it, but trust me, you're going to love it." I nodded, swallowing hard. My reflection in the mirror, the poised, daring figure, was both a promise and a challenge. I realized then that this wasn't just a one-time experiment. Something had shifted inside me. My secret life, my hidden thrill, had found a new catalyst. And with Sarah involved, it was about to spiral into something far bigger than I had anticipated. The room felt charged, the air thick with possibility. Every step I took in those heels, every brush of the silky dress, every stroke of makeup heightened my awareness. I was both vulnerable and powerful, terrified and exhilarated. And as Sarah clapped her hands, urging me to strike a pose, I understood. The true challenge was only beginning. This first transformation had opened a door I couldn't close. My secret self was no longer confined to the shadows of my bedroom. It was out, exposed, and about to be tested in ways I could never have imagined. After my first tentative steps in the dress and heels, Sarah's playful grin didn't waver. "Now, let's see how you really move," she said, circling me like a coach examining a pupil. My pulse raced. The thrill of being seen and admired under her watchful eye was intoxicating. My body, once tense and awkward, began to loosen as I experimented with posture, the sway of the dress, and the confidence that came from stepping fully into this persona. "Relax your shoulders, chin up," she instructed, her voice both teasing and precise. Confidence is everything. I tried to follow her guidance, shifting my weight from one heel to the other. Every motion felt exaggerated, self-conscious, but also strangely empowering. The fabric of the dress whispered against my thighs with each step, the heels clicking on the hardwood floor like a heartbeat of suspense. I felt every fiber of my being alive, alert, vulnerable, and excited. Sarah clapped softly. "Perfect. But, being beautiful isn't just about standing still. You have to own it, every part of it. Come closer." I stepped forward, trying to mimic her instructions, and I noticed something that made my stomach flip. The mirror at the end of the hallway. My reflection stared back, poised, delicate, elegant, but unmistakably me. There was Alex beneath the silk dress, the wig, the carefully applied makeup. Yet, the persona I had cultivated, the daring, playful, and feminine version of myself, radiated from every movement. The thrill of the transformation collided with the nagging fear of exposure. My mind raced. What if someone else saw me like this? What if my sister walked in early, or worse, if someone outside the house caught a glimpse? The vulnerability of being fully exposed, even in a safe space, was unlike anything I had experienced. Sarah noticed my hesitation. "Hey," she said gently, "it's okay to feel nervous. But this is your chance to explore. Don't hold back." Her encouragement fueled a reckless side of me I didn't know existed. I took a few more steps, experimenting with poses, twirling slightly so the skirt flared just right. The feeling was dizzying, a cocktail of exhilaration, danger, and empowerment. My reflection in the mirror seemed almost like a different person, yet undeniably me. Then came the first real challenge. The sound of a car door outside made my heart leap. Panic surged through me. "Mia?" I whispered, freezing mid-step. Sarah's grin widened. "Relax. It's probably just a neighbor or her dad. But that panic? That's the fun part. You're playing with risk now, and it's addictive." I swallowed hard. Her words were both thrilling and terrifying. The danger, the possibility of being discovered, heightened every sensation. My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted the wig, the high heels pinching my toes more acutely now, every movement a delicate balancing act. The mirror reflected my duality. Alex, cautious and anxious, and the transformed persona, confident and alluring. The tension between these selves made the experience electric. I could feel my pulse in my ears, the heat rising in my cheeks, the subtle sway of the dress amplifying every emotion. Sarah wasn't done. She pulled out a small makeup kit from a closet. "Let's take it further," she said, her voice playful but insistent. "You've got the base, but let's perfect the details, eyeliner, lipstick, a little blush. It'll make you look irresistible." I hesitated, fear and excitement warring inside me. Applying makeup was second nature in my private space, but now, under her guidance and gaze, it felt like stepping over a line I wasn't sure I could cross. Yet, as I carefully applied the eyeliner, the blush, and the lipstick, a thrill surged through me, a dangerous, intoxicating delight. Sarah stepped back, examining me critically. Perfect. You're stunning. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. But then her mischievous smirk returned. Now, let's see if you can fool someone else. My heart skipped a beat. Fool someone else? What did she mean? The playful warning in her eyes hinted at a challenge, a game I hadn't signed up for, or perhaps had secretly hoped for. My mind raced with possibilities, each one more terrifying and thrilling than the last. That evening, I realized the thrill wasn't just about the transformation. It was about danger, exposure, and the intoxicating blend of fear and excitement. The persona I had cultivated was alive, vibrant, and dangerously close to being discovered. And with Sarah orchestrating the scenario, I knew the real challenges were only beginning. By the time evening settled into the room, my reflection in the mirror was no longer a stranger. I had fully transformed from Alex, the cautious, reserved guy, into someone daring, elegant, and unmistakably feminine. The dress clung to my body in all the right ways, the heels elevated me, and the makeup enhanced features I had long ignored. Every step I took was a thrill, but beneath the surface, a low hum of anxiety reminded me that this exposure came with risks. Sarah's eyes sparkled with mischief. Okay, it's time for the real test, she said, her tone both playful and commanding. We're going to see if you can convince someone else, someone unsuspecting, that you're me. What do you mean? I asked, panic rising in my chest. You'll see, she said with a wink. Trust me. You can handle it. Before I could protest, she guided me toward the living room. The front door was closed, but through the window, I noticed shadows moving outside, neighbors walking by, unaware of the game about to unfold. My pulse quickened. The thrill of performance collided with fear of exposure. I had never felt vulnerability like this before, completely visible, yet not fully myself. Relax, Sarah whispered, brushing a hand lightly against my arm. It's just a test, but it's a good practice. Confidence is everything. I nodded, swallowing hard, as she opened the door slightly. Just pretend to be me if anyone asks, she instructed, her grin teasing yet authoritative. Act normal. If you hesitate, you'll fail. My stomach churned. My mind raced through possibilities. What if a neighbor saw me and recognized I wasn't really Sarah? What if my sister came home unexpectedly? The stakes felt suddenly enormous, and I realized that the thrill of crossdressing was inseparable from the fear of discovery. A few moments later, the doorbell rang. My heart skipped a beat. I wasn't ready, yet Sarah nudged me forward. Go, she whispered. Remember, you're confident. You're beautiful. Own it. I opened the door to find her friend, Jenny, standing there, someone who had never met me before. My pulse surged. Every instinct screamed to retreat, to escape, but I forced myself to smile, to maintain the persona I had cultivated. Hey, I faltered slightly, my voice higher than usual. Sarah, standing just behind me, gave me a subtle nod, silently urging me to continue. Hi, I said, forcing the words smoothly. I'm Sarah. Jenny blinked, then smiled. Oh, I've heard so much about you. I'm glad to finally meet you. Relief and exhilaration washed over me. I had done it. I had convinced someone else, even briefly, that I was this new persona. My reflection in the glass of the door reinforced the duality of my situation. Alex, cautious and anxious, and the transformed version, confident and persuasive. Sarah clapped softly behind me. See? Told you could do it. But remember, this is just the beginning. You'll need to maintain this poise, this confidence. The more people see you, the higher the stakes become. Even as my hands trembled slightly, I felt an undeniable thrill. I had stepped fully into a world that blurred lines, challenged perceptions, and tested boundaries. And the first real test, the convincing of someone else, had passed, leaving me both exhilarated and anxious. But the thrill was tempered by a creeping sense of danger. Each interaction, each step outside my private space, carried the risk of exposure. I realized that my secret life, once confined to the safety of my bedroom, was now extending into real-world interactions, orchestrated by Sarah. And the tension, the fear, excitement, and vulnerability was escalating rapidly. That night, as I changed back into my normal clothes, the reflection in the mirror reminded me of the duality I now lived with. The persona was alive, vibrant, and dangerously compelling. The thrill of crossdressing was no longer just a private indulgence. It had become a game of deception, daring, and suspense. And Sarah's mischievous involvement promised challenges that I could neither predict nor avoid. After successfully convincing Jenny, I felt a rush of exhilaration, but it was quickly tempered by the gnawing anxiety that never fully left me. Every reflection, every glance in the mirror, reminded me of the dual life I was living. Alex, the cautious, ordinary guy, and the transformed version, elegant, poised, undeniably feminine, coexisted in the same body, yet each step deeper into this world amplified the stakes. Sarah wasn't done testing me. She leaned against the couch, arms crossed, her grin sharp and teasing. "Okay, now that you've seen you can fool someone, let's add a twist. I want you to move around the house, do things as me. Make it natural, seamless. Every move counts. One misstep, and the illusion collapses." My pulse quickened. The thought of moving around in full persona while anyone could see me, even through windows or unexpected visitors, made my stomach knot with tension. But the thrill of successfully maintaining the transformation ignited a spark I couldn't ignore. I began walking through the living room, adjusting the skirt of the dress, testing the heels, trying to embody the confidence Sarah demanded. Every sound, the soft swish of the fabric, the gentle click of the heels, even my own breathing, felt magnified, echoing in my mind like a countdown. My hands trembled slightly as I smoothed the wig and adjusted the makeup, aware that even minor imperfections could betray the persona. Then came the real challenge, a phone call from Mia's mom, asking for Sarah. My heart thudded in my chest. Sarah whispered, "Answer it. You're her now. Just be confident. You can do it." Hands shaking, I picked up the phone. "Hello, this is Sarah," I said, my voice slightly higher than usual, but surprisingly steady. There was a pause on the other end. "Sarah? Oh, hi. I just wanted to check. Are you still at Mia's place?" "Yes, I'm here," I replied, feeling my pulse hammering. Sarah's eyes bore into me, silently urging me to stay calm. The conversation continued, mundane but fraught with tension. Every word was a test, every pause an opportunity for disaster. And yet, as I navigated the call, a strange exhilaration coursed through me. The persona wasn't just a costume, it was a mask that gave me power, confidence, and the dangerous thrill of secrecy. When I finally hung up, relief washed over me, mingled with an adrenaline-fueled high. Sarah clapped softly. "See? You're doing amazing. But the more you practice, the more natural it will become. Soon, you'll be able to walk into any situation, and no one will suspect a thing." Her words, both encouraging and mischievous, sparked a conflict deep within me. I wanted to succeed, to embrace the persona fully, but the fear of being caught, of losing control, loomed over every choice. Each step in the dress, each stroke of makeup, each moment in the heels was a delicate balance between thrill and risk. That night, I sat alone in my room, reflecting on what had happened. The excitement of crossdressing, once a private indulgence, had transformed into a high-stakes game orchestrated by Sarah. My emotions were a tangled mess: fear, exhilaration, desire, vulnerability, all coexisting in a fragile equilibrium. I realized then that this wasn't just about clothing or appearance. It was about identity, secrecy, and the intoxicating allure of stepping into a world where I could be anyone, yet was constantly tested. Every glance, every reflection, every challenge Sarah set before me pushed me further into uncharted territory. And as I drifted off to sleep that night, heels carefully set aside, dress folded neatly, and makeup cleaned from my skin, I knew the tension was far from over. The persona was alive, The game had begun, and the emotional stakes were only rising. Sarah's involvement promised challenges that would test not just my ability to maintain the illusion, but my courage, my vulnerability, and my willingness to embrace a side of myself I had long kept hidden. The next morning, the tension was palpable. I woke with a lingering sense of anticipation, my mind replaying every movement, every step, and every word from yesterday. The persona I had embraced was no longer just a secret thrill. It had begun to feel like a second skin, one I couldn't easily shed. My reflection in the mirror showed traces of Alex, but the transformed version glimmered beneath the surface, waiting to take over at any hint of challenge. Sarah had arrived early, her energy electric and mischievous as ever. "Ready for today's final test?" she asked, her grin sharp and teasing. "This one will push you further than before." I hesitated, feeling a swirl of excitement and dread. What is it?" "You'll see," she replied, waving a hand dramatically. "It's time for you to step outside the house, fully in persona, and interact with someone who knows nothing about you. No safety nets, no hints. Can you maintain the illusion?" My heart pounded. Every instinct screamed to back out, to retreat into my familiar self. But the allure of the challenge, the intoxicating mix of thrill and danger, was irresistible. I nodded, swallowing hard. Sarah guided me through the preparation. The dress, heels, wig, and meticulous makeup. Every detail mattered. My hands trembled as I adjusted the skirt, checked the eyeliner, and applied a careful sweep of blush. The final touch was lipstick, deep red and glossy, transforming my face into a flawless mask of elegance and confidence. Once ready, she stepped back, eyes gleaming. "You look perfect. But remember, confidence is key. Any hesitation, and the illusion shatters." The test began as soon as I stepped outside. A neighbor, someone I had only seen briefly, waved from across the street. My pulse spiked, and I forced myself to smile, to walk naturally, to inhabit the persona fully. The dress swayed around my legs, the heels clicking with every step. I could feel my heartbeat in my chest, the thrill of exposure mingling with fear. Sarah followed closely, watching, guiding subtly. "Own it," she whispered. "You're untouchable." Every interaction, even a simple greeting, became a test of composure. My mind raced, calculating movements, expressions, and words. The excitement was electric, the fear of discovery tangible. Each moment stretched into an eternity, the stakes higher than ever. As the morning passed, Sarah introduced more challenges. Passing by a delivery man, a friend of Mia's dropping by unexpectedly, even a casual phone call in public. Each test forced me to maintain the persona under scrutiny, blending confidence with subtlety. The thrill of successfully deceiving each person was intoxicating, yet the constant tension gnawed at me. Finally, as we returned inside, I collapsed onto the couch, trembling but exhilarated. "You did amazing," Sarah said softly, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Not everyone could handle this. You're stronger, braver, and more confident than you realize." Her words stirred conflicting emotions. Pride and exhilaration swirled with vulnerability and fear. I had crossed a threshold, stepping fully into a world that challenged my identity, tested my courage, and amplified my hidden desires. The persona wasn't just a disguise anymore. It was alive, vibrant, and dangerously compelling. As I looked in the mirror one last time, the duality of my existence became clear. Alex, cautious and reserved, and the transformed version, confident and daring, coexisted in a delicate balance. And with Sarah's guidance, the next stages of this journey promised even greater challenges, higher stakes, and the suspense of what would happen if the illusion ever broke. The evening air was heavy with tension as I paced nervously in the living room, still dressed in the elegant outfit from earlier. The persona I had honed under Sarah's guidance felt almost like a second skin, but tonight, the stakes were higher than ever. Each step, each sway of the dress, carried the possibility of exposure. The thrill that had once electrified me now mingled with a gnawing dread. Sarah appeared from the hallway, her grin sharper than ever. "Ready for the next test?" she asked, her voice low and teasing. "This one isn't just about confidence, it's about survival." I swallowed hard. Survival. My pulse quickened. "Yes," she replied. "Someone unexpected is coming. You'll have to maintain your persona, under real scrutiny. Any slip, and the illusion collapses." The sound of a car pulling into the driveway made my heart skip. My mind raced. Who could it be? And why now? Sarah gave me a quick, reassuring nod. "Remember, you're not Alex right now. You're the persona. Own it." Moments later, the doorbell rang. Panic surged, but I forced a smile and opened the door to find Mia's older brother, Tyler, a person I had never met in person, known only from fleeting mentions. My throat went dry. Sarah whispered, "Go on. You can do it." I greeted him in a steady voice, forcing every movement, every gesture to match the poised, confident persona I had cultivated. Tyler smiled warmly, unaware of the internal chaos raging inside me. I could feel my heartbeat pounding in my ears, every muscle tense as I maintained the act. But then came the unexpected. Tyler's gaze lingered a little too long, his expression shifting subtly as if he sensed something unusual. My stomach nodded. Sarah, watching from the corner, smirked knowingly. "Keep your cool," she murmured. Tyler asked casual questions about school, friends, hobbies, but each answer became a tightrope walk. I had to remember the details Sarah had coached me on, keep my voice steady, and suppress the nervous quiver threatening to betray me. The thrill of deception now collided head-on with fear. One misstep, one awkward pause, and everything could unravel. The tension escalated further when Tyler moved closer to inspect my outfit. The fabric of the dress shifted with a subtle slip, and my heart leapt. I reached instinctively to adjust it, praying he wouldn't notice. He smiled, seemingly oblivious, but the danger of discovery lingered like a storm cloud overhead. Sarah leaned in, whispering, "Almost there. Just a few more minutes. Don't break." I nodded, sweat beading on my forehead despite the cool air. Every nerve in my body screamed, yet I forced myself to relax into the persona. The exhilaration returned, mingled with terror. This delicate balance between exposure and mastery was more addictive than anything I had felt before. As Tyler finally said goodbye and left, a wave of relief crashed over me. I had survived the first major obstacle, maintained my persona under intense scrutiny, and emerged unscathed, but only just. Sarah's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "Well done," she said softly. "But this was only the beginning. The real test is coming, and it will push you further than you've ever been." I sank onto the couch, trembling yet exhilarated, realizing that my secret life had escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. The persona wasn't just a disguise anymore. It was a living, breathing force challenging every instinct, every emotion, and every boundary I had ever known. No sooner had Tyler left than the tranquility I had fought to maintain shattered. The sound of the front door opening again made my stomach plummet. My heart raced violently in my chest. Surprise, came a familiar, teasing voice. It was Mia, my sister, back earlier than expected. I froze mid-step, the heels suddenly heavier, the silk of the dress feeling like a trap around me. My reflection in the mirror seemed to mock me. Alex, exposed, vulnerable, and trapped in a persona that wasn't entirely mine. Sarah's expression was unreadable, half smile teasing, half commanding. "Time to see how far you can push it," she whispered. Mia entered the room, chatting casually about her day, oblivious to the storm brewing in front of her. My mind raced. Should I reveal the truth? Or continue the act, risking discovery? The adrenaline surged, a cocktail of fear, excitement, and sheer panic. "Hey, Alex," Mia asked casually, her gaze flicking to me. My breath hitched. I forced a smile, adjusted the dress, and responded in a higher, lighter voice than my natural one. "Hi, I'm Sarah," I stammered, each word feeling fragile as glass. Mia blinked, frowning slightly. Sarah? Wait, what are you wearing? Every fiber of my body screamed danger. This was no longer a controlled challenge. It was exposure, vulnerability at its peak. I tried to laugh, a nervous, girlish laugh that sounded foreign yet convincing. Just trying something new, I said, my voice quivering subtly. Mia's expression shifted from confusion to curiosity. Interesting. You look different, but okay. Her tone was light, but my nerves shredded with every second. I knew one wrong word, one awkward movement, could unravel everything. Sarah, silently observing, leaned close and whispered, "Hold it together. You're doing fine, just breathe." The next moments were a test of mental fortitude. Mia moved closer, inspecting the dress and my makeup. I adjusted a strand of wig nervously, my hands shaking slightly. Each gesture, each word, required full commitment. The persona had to remain flawless. And then came the twist. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, an incoming video call from Emma. My chest constricted. Emma knew nothing of this, nothing of the persona, nothing of the games Sarah had orchestrated. Answering could blow everything. Ignoring it might arouse suspicion later. Sarah's eyes gleamed with mischief. "What will you do?" Time to make a choice. Every heartbeat felt amplified. The risk of discovery, the thrill of the persona, the fear of judgment. It all collided. I grabbed the phone with trembling hands, debated internally, and then a knock at the door. Another unexpected visitor. The suspense peaked. My mind raced. Could I maintain the illusion under this onslaught? Could I keep the persona alive, convincing and unshaken? Every sense heightened. The swish of the dress, the click of heels, the nervous tremor in my hands. All of it became part of a high-stakes dance between fear and exhilaration. The persona I had crafted now had to survive in a storm of challenges, each more dangerous than the last. Sarah's whisper cut through the chaos. "Remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. Be her. Be unstoppable. Or everything collapses." I inhaled sharply, squared my shoulders, and prepared to face the unexpected, knowing that the next moments would define the boundary between exposure and triumph, fear and exhilaration, Alex and the persona fully alive within me. The room felt like a pressure cooker. Mia's presence, combined with the buzzing phone and Sarah's watchful gaze, made every second stretch into eternity. My heart hammered, adrenaline pumping, and yet I knew I had to maintain the persona at all costs. Mia stepped closer, examining the makeup and dress with a mix of curiosity and amusement. "You really went all out," she said, her voice light, but I could sense the subtle questioning beneath her tone. Every word she spoke felt like a test, every glance a potential trap. Sarah whispered sharply in my ear, "Don't flinch. Remember, confidence is your armor." I nodded subtly, gripping the phone in one hand, heels pinching my feet, dress swaying as I shifted my weight. The persona I had meticulously built had to hold firm, no matter how my nerves screamed. Suddenly, Mia tilted her head, eyes narrowing slightly. "Are you pretending to be someone else?" Her tone was casual, but the implication was sharp. My pulse skipped. Panic surged. The thrill of the persona collided with the terror of exposure. I forced a laugh, the sound slightly higher and more feminine than natural. "Maybe a little just for fun," I said, hoping my casual tone would mask the inner chaos. Mia's gaze lingered, scrutinizing, testing. Every muscle in my body tensed. I could feel the vulnerability of the situation, the danger of one wrong gesture unraveling the illusion completely. Then the unexpected happened. My phone buzzed again, Emma calling. My stomach twisted. If I answered, she would hear my voice, altered, feminine, unmistakably not Alex. If I ignored it, suspicion could build later. Sarah leaned close, whispering fiercely, "Answer it. Own it. You're unstoppable." With trembling hands, I answered. "Hi, Emma." My voice a delicate mix of panic and practiced femininity. Her cheerful voice came through. "Hey, I wanted to check if you were coming over tonight. Everything okay?" My mind raced. Every response had to maintain the persona. Yeah, everything's fine. I'm just hanging out. I kept my tone calm, steady, and convincingly feminine, while internally, every nerve screamed with fear. Meanwhile, Mia watched silently, curiosity and suspicion battling her amusement. My dual identities, Alex and the transformed persona, clashed violently within me. Every heartbeat, every swish of the dress, every tremor of my hands became a symbol of the precarious balance I was trying to maintain. The tension escalated further when Mia moved closer to the phone, peering over my shoulder. "Who are you talking to?" she asked lightly, yet her eyes held sharp scrutiny. I froze, my mind racing. Sarah's whisper came again. "Hold it together. You can do this. Breathe." I smiled nervously, keeping the phone angled slightly away, replying vaguely. "Oh, just a friend." My voice wavered, but I forced composure. Every second felt like walking a tightrope above a pit of exposure and humiliation. Then came the symbolic moment of crisis. The wig slipped slightly from its pins, a strand of hair falling onto my shoulder. My hand shot up instinctively, but the sudden movement drew Mia's attention. Her eyes widened slightly, a flicker of recognition, or suspicion, crossing her face. My pulse raced faster than ever. This was it, the tipping point. Every choice, every movement, every breath mattered. The persona I had built, the feminine elegance and confidence, hung by a fragile thread. Failure meant exposure. Success meant survival and the exhilarating thrill of triumph over fear. Sarah's voice, calm yet commanding, cut through the chaos. "This is it. Own it or it all collapses. Be her, fully. No hesitation." I took a deep breath, steadied my trembling hands, adjusted the wig perfectly, and straightened my posture. The persona wasn't just a disguise anymore. It was alive, daring, and commanding. My reflection in the mirror, the swish of the dress, the click of the heels, all reinforced that I could survive this. The confrontation reached its peak. Mia studied me for a long, tense moment, then let out a small laugh, seemingly amused. Relief and exhilaration washed over me simultaneously. I had survived the high-stakes scrutiny, maintained my persona, and emerged intact, but only barely. The room felt like it had shrunk, the air thick with tension and anticipation. Every sound, the soft click of my heels on the hardwood, the whisper of fabric, the subtle creak of the door, heightened my awareness. My hands trembled slightly, the adrenaline coursing through me like electricity. This was the ultimate test. One small mistake, and everything I had built could collapse. Sarah leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper, but sharp as a blade. "This is it. The final obstacle before you truly prove yourself. Keep the persona alive. No hesitation. No slips. One wrong move, and everything falls apart." I nodded, swallowing hard, gripping the phone tightly. The persona I had honed, the elegance, the poise, the feminine confidence, was no longer just a disguise. It was my armor, my lifeline, the only thing separating me from total exposure. At that moment, the doorbell rang again. My heart leapt into my throat. Who could it be now? Every instinct screamed to flee, to reveal the truth, yet I forced myself to maintain the facade. Sarah's eyes gleamed with anticipation. "Go. Open it. You can do this." I opened the door to find Tyler once more, this time with a friend I didn't recognize. My pulse pounded violently. Both stared at me with casual curiosity, oblivious to the inner storm raging within. Tyler smiled warmly. "Hey, thought we'd drop by. Mind if we hang out for a bit?" I forced a bright, confident smile, adjusting the dress and smoothing my wig. "Of course. Come in," I said, voice steady, perfectly feminine, every syllable measured. The room became a stage, each movement deliberate. The friends chatted casually, completely unaware of the peril I was navigating. I moved, smiled, laughed, and responded, all while internally bracing for the slightest misstep that could unravel the illusion. Then, disaster nearly struck. As I gestured toward the couch, the dress snagged on the corner of the coffee table. I froze, heart hammering, every eye now seemingly on me. In a split second, I yanked the fabric free, hiding the moment with a graceful laugh. Tyler raised an eyebrow but said nothing. The tension was suffocating. Sarah's whisper cut through my panic.
See?
That's why you practice.
Keep calm.
You're untouchable if you stay composed. I forced myself to breathe, keeping the persona intact, even as my hands shook slightly. The exhilaration of surviving these near disasters mingled with raw terror, fear of exposure, fear of judgment, fear of losing control of this carefully balanced world. Then came the symbolic tipping point. The phone buzzed again, Emma calling. This time, the temptation to answer was unbearable. Could I maintain the persona under direct scrutiny while speaking to someone who knew Alex intimately? Every instinct screamed no. But Sarah's voice was firm, unwavering. Answer it. Own it. You're her. You can handle this. With trembling fingers, I answered. Hi, Emma, I said, voice delicately feminine, controlled. Her voice chimed through. Hey, I just wanted to check if you were coming over. Are you okay? I responded with practiced ease, balancing authenticity and persona. My heart pounded, the dress clinging as I shifted on the couch, heels clicking subtly. Each word, each gesture, had to be flawless. Mia watched silently, curiosity dancing in her eyes. Tyler's friend leaned slightly forward, oblivious to the tension but adding to the pressure. I felt as if I were performing on the edge of a knife. One slip could sever the delicate balance I had maintained for days. Then came the near exposure. A strand of wig slipped, falling across my cheek. My hands shot up instinctively, brushing it back into place, but my sudden movement drew Mia's gaze. Her eyes widened just slightly, an imperceptible signal that she noticed something unusual. My heart skipped a beat. Sarah's voice whispered fiercely in my ear. Hold it together.
Breathe.
You can survive this. Own it. With every ounce of willpower, I adjusted my posture, smiled gently, and maintained the persona. The moment stretched, a taut wire between fear and triumph. And slowly, Mia's curiosity softened, her amusement returning. Tyler and his friend remained oblivious, chatting casually, completely unaware of the high-stakes tension swirling around them. I exhaled slowly, realizing I had survived the ultimate test, maintained the persona under maximum pressure, navigated near exposure, and emerged intact. The exhilaration was intoxicating, the fear unforgettable, and the persona alive, commanding, and dangerously seductive. The tension in the room was unbearable. Every heartbeat echoed in my ears, each breath a reminder of the high stakes I was balancing. I could feel the duality within me. Alex, cautious and vulnerable, and the persona I had nurtured, confident and commanding, fighting for control. Tonight, one small misstep could shatter the delicate illusion entirely. Suddenly, Mia stepped closer, eyes narrowing with a mix of curiosity and dawning realization. Wait, Alex, she asked, her voice dropping to a whisper, testing, probing. My stomach clenched. The persona, everything I had carefully constructed, teetered on the edge of exposure. Sarah's gaze locked onto mine, sharp and commanding. Hold it together. Don't let it slip.
Breathe.
Own it. I forced a calm smile, adjusting my posture, smoothing the wig, and keeping the dress perfectly in place. It's me just trying something new, I said, voice steady, yet a tremor of vulnerability betrayed my inner turmoil. Mia's eyes flicked between me and the others, suspicion battling amusement. Something new, huh? Well, you look convincing. She laughed softly, but there was a tension beneath it, a question lingering in her gaze. Then came the ultimate revelation, the twist Sarah had orchestrated all along. From behind, she stepped forward, holding a small mirror. Look at yourself, she whispered. Do you see how far you've come? How much you've grown? I glanced into the mirror, seeing both Alex and the persona reflected simultaneously. The swish of the dress, the carefully applied makeup, the confident stance, it all merged into a single, striking image. The thrill, fear, and exhilaration collided in my chest, leaving me breathless. Mia leaned closer, her curiosity now tinged with admiration. I have to admit, I didn't expect this. You really pulled it off. Her tone was light, but I sensed the respect and astonishment hidden beneath. Tyler and his friend remained oblivious, chatting casually, unaware of the tension and drama that had just unfolded. Yet, the weight of what I had survived, the multiple near exposures, the unexpected visitors, the delicate balance of identity, pressed on me like a heavy cloak. Sarah's whisper cut through my racing thoughts. This is your turning point. You've proven you can maintain the persona, navigate scrutiny, and handle near disaster. But remember, the game isn't over. There's always another challenge, another risk. I sank onto the couch, trembling yet exhilarated, absorbing the intensity of the moment. The persona wasn't just a disguise anymore. It was a living, breathing extension of myself, capable of commanding presence, evoking admiration, and navigating high-stakes situations with poise and courage. As the room slowly settled, I realized that this journey had changed me. The fear, the thrill, and the exhilaration had fused into a new understanding of identity, confidence, and risk. I had faced exposure, temptation, and intense scrutiny, and survived. The duality of Alex and the persona had been tested and had emerged stronger, more resilient, and more compelling than ever. But as I looked around the room, Mia's curiosity, Sarah's knowing grin, the oblivious visitors, I knew one thing with certainty. This was far from over. The next challenge, the next twist, the next moment of danger was always just around the corner. And I would have to face it, persona fully alive, heart pounding, and identity balanced on the edge of revelation. The room had finally quieted, but the tension lingered like a storm cloud. My body still hummed with adrenaline, the heels pinching my feet, the dress clinging in ways both thrilling and confining. I could feel the duality of Alex and the persona pulsing within me, two identities colliding, blending, struggling for dominance. Mia, surprisingly calm now, had retreated slightly, her curiosity giving way to cautious amusement. Yet her eyes lingered on me, sharp and observant, as if she sensed there was more beneath the surface than she could articulate. Tyler and his friend were still chatting casually, unaware of the dramatic emotional tightrope I had walked. Sarah moved closer, her voice low, almost conspiratorial. This is the moment where everything could change. One move, one word, and the illusion could shatter. Her eyes gleamed with that familiar thrill she always carried, the thrill of challenge, of suspense, of seeing me tested beyond my limits. I glanced at my reflection in the mirror across the room. The faint shimmer of the dress, the careful makeup, the wig slightly askew, it all reflected a new reality. The persona wasn't a disguise anymore. It was alive, commanding, seductive, and undeniably part of me. But with that realization came fear. Fear of exposure, fear of judgment, fear of losing control of this delicate balance I had fought so hard to maintain. A sudden knock at the door jolted me. My pulse surged, sweat prickling the back of my neck. Who could it be now? Another twist, another surprise, another potential threat to everything I had built. My hands trembled slightly as I moved toward the door, heels clicking sharply against the floor. Sarah's whisper cut through my nerves. Remember what you've learned.
Breathe.
Own the persona. Don't let fear control you. I opened the door to find a stranger, someone I didn't recognize, someone unfamiliar. The air felt electric, the suspense palpable. Their gaze lingered on me, assessing, curious, oblivious to the storm raging inside. I forced a smile, adjusting the dress, smoothing the wig, maintaining the carefully crafted persona. "Hi," I said, voice steady but tinged with subtle vulnerability. Every word felt like a tightrope walk. "Can I help you?" The strangers smiled faintly. "I'm looking for Alex," they said, voice casual, but something in their tone hinted at hidden motives. My heart lurched. "Alex? The name itself was a trigger, a direct link to the identity I had temporarily left behind, the one I now struggled to reconcile with the persona in full display. Sarah's hand pressed lightly against my back. "This is it," she whispered. "Your next test. Don't falter." I swallowed hard, forcing calm, confidence, and poise as I responded. "I'm Alex." "Well, sort of. What do you need?" My words teetered between truth and persona, deliberate ambiguity designed to maintain the fragile balance. The stranger tilted their head, a faint smile curling their lips, eyes sharp with curiosity. "Interesting," they said. "I didn't expect to meet Alex like this." My chest tightened, the heels digging into my feet, the dress restricting every movement, yet I stood firm, refusing to betray fear. The room felt suspended in time, each second stretching into an eternity. My dual identities hovered on a knife's edge, the persona alive and commanding, Alex trembling just beneath the surface. And then another twist. My phone buzzed again.
Emma.
I froze, torn between answering and risking exposure, and ignoring the call and raising suspicion later. Sarah's eyes met mine, unwavering. "Answer it. This is part of the game." Hand shaking slightly, I brought the phone to my ear. "Hi, Emma," I said, voice delicate, practiced feminine. Her cheerful voice came through. "Hey, just checking if you're coming over tonight. Are you okay?" I forced a calm, casual laugh, the persona seamlessly taking over. "Yeah, everything's fine. Just hanging out," I said, smiling even though my pulse raced. But the duality, the fear, the thrill, the possibility of being caught, was more tangible than ever. The room, the guests, the unexpected interruptions, the lingering questions, all of it pressed on me like an invisible weight. The persona was strong, but the tension was undeniable. Mia's eyes narrowed slightly, Tyler and his friend exchanged curious glances, the stranger at the door watched silently, and Sarah's smirk was a reminder that nothing was resolved. One slip, one unexpected comment, one misplaced gesture, and the illusion could collapse. I exhaled slowly, heart pounding, aware of every sensation, the silk of the dress, the tightness of the heels, the weight of the wig, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. The suspense was unbearable, yet exhilarating. I had survived multiple challenges, navigated scrutiny, and maintained the persona through near disasters, yet the story wasn't over. The ultimate revelation, exposure, or twist loomed just ahead, threatening to undo everything. As I glanced at the mirror one final time, the reflection stared back at me with intensity. Two identities, intertwined, coexisting, teetering on the edge of revelation. Alex, the persona, the balance fragile, the tension unresolved. The door creaked slightly. I froze. The stranger shifted, stepping forward. Mia's curiosity sharpened. Tyler's friend leaned slightly closer. My phone buzzed again. And in that suspended moment, everything hung on the precipice. Exposure, revelation, or triumph. And then the screen faded to black.